I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Who taught me or what taught me that I had to be everything to everyone? Let's take a little bit further. What expectations am I carrying that God never placed on me? Let's go deeper. Am I living from purpose or from the pressure of the cape? And even deeper, what would change if I believed my worth wasn't connected to me having to prove myself, wasn't connected to my productivity? I want you to sit with those questions. I want you to go deep with those questions because I want you to give yourself permission to lay down the pressure of being everything to everyone. Hey, it's your girl Dorcas, and welcome back to the Dorcas Pittman podcast, where I am on this journey of empowering her to drop the cape and heal for real. This is the space where courage, clarity, and strategy meets real healing. So can I ask you a question? What cape did you put on this morning? Maybe it was the strong woman cape. Maybe it was the independent woman cape. Maybe it was the boss woman cape. Or maybe you've been wearing the everything woman cape for so long that you forgot you were even wearing it in the first place. You see, this month, I'm going to start with asking one question that I believe has the power to change how we see ourselves. At what point did empowerment become pressure? Because somewhere along the way, many of us stopped hearing you can and started believing you have to. And today we're talking about the cape that convinced us we had to be everything to everyone. And that's the everything woman cape. You see, empowerment was meant to remind women of what was possible. Instead, many of us turned that possibility into obligation. The everything woman cape isn't about having many roles. It's believing your worth is determined by how well you carry all of them. So as I navigate through this conversation today, I want you to meditate on these statements. Just because you can carry it doesn't mean God called you to carry it. Being everyone to everybody oftentimes leaves you with nothing for yourself. Your worth isn't measured by how much you do. It's rooted in whose you are. That cape that helped you survive may be the very thing keeping you from living whole and living your most abundant life. And healing begins the moment you stop proving and you start trusting in who God created you to be. So Matthew 11:28-30 tells us to come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus never asked us to wear a cape. He invited us to lay our burdens down. You see, some of us have accepted responsibilities God never assigned to us. We've confused being available with being called. We've confused being capable with being chosen. But Jesus says, come to me. Not after you've carried for everyone else, not after you've fixed everything, but come now. You see, one of the greatest empowerment songs of all time is I'm Every Woman. And we love that song. We hear that song come on, and we can literally sing it from the mountaintops. It says, whatever you want, whatever you need, anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. Because I'm every woman. It's all in me. That song celebrates possibility. It celebrates beauty, strength, wisdom, and the resilience of women. But somewhere between hearing the lyrics and living our lives, that possibility became expectation. Many of us stopped hearing I can be, and started believing that you have to be. You have to be everything. You have to hold everything together. You have to keep everybody happy. You have to figure everything out. And before you knew it, you had put on the cape. You put on the everything woman cape. So let's talk about how this cape was actually made. Because nobody just woke up one day and said and decided, I am going to be everything to everyone. No, this cape was actually stitched together slowly, one stitch at a time, one expectation at a time, one compliment at a time, one responsibility at a time. And if you're really being honest with yourself, one moment of survival at a time. And the sad reality for many of us is this: it started when we were young. You were the one that could be counted on, the responsible one, the strong one, the helper, the one who never got in trouble. And somewhere along the way, being dependable started to feel like your identity instead of just something you did. Then life happened. Life began to life, and before you knew it, life added more layers to it. You became the one at work who always stepped up, the one in your family who always handled it, the one in your friend group who was always calling to check in on everybody else. And without realizing it, you started collecting roles like they were proof of your worth, proof of your value. But here's the part that you won't always say out loud: expectations don't just come from other people. They eventually get internalized within ourselves. So now it's not just, oh, they expect me to do this. It becomes, if I don't do this, then who am I? And that's where this strong woman cape, this everything woman cape becomes dangerous. I'm going to get to the strong woman cape later, but this everything woman cape become dangerous because now it's not just about what you do, it's about who and what you believe you are. So even when you're tired, you keep going. Even when you're overwhelmed, you keep saying yes. Even when your body is saying stop, your identity is saying, girl, you better not disappoint them. And before long, before you know it, you're not just carrying roles, you're carrying unspoken rules. Rules that say, I can't let anybody down. I have to be the one who holds it together. If I stop, everything will fall apart. If I rest, I'm being selfish. If I ask for help, I'm weak. And the reality is, none of these rules were ever actually the truth of God, God's truth, God's word. They became our truth because we have lived and operated under these rules for so long because we've been wearing this everything woman cape. So when I say everything woman cape was sewn together by expectations, what I mean is that it's made from pressure, from praise, from pain, and even from survival. And the hardest part about all of this is that at some point, people stop handing it to you and you started putting it on yourself. Yeah. So can I be real with you for a second? And this is where it starts getting heavy because most of us didn't realize we weren't just carrying expectations. What happened was we started to become them. And this right here is where a lot of women stay stuck without even realizing it. They start confusing being needed with being called. Because being needed feels good, right? When you don't know who you are, when you're used to wearing this everything woman cape, when that becomes your identity, being needed feels good. It feels like value, it feels like purpose, It feels like I matter because they need me. So what do? You start building your identity around people's access to you. If people can reach you, you matter. If people can depend on you, you matter. If people can't do it without you, you matter. But the truth about all of this is that being needed can become a trap when it becomes your identity. Yeah, because now you're not just serving people, you're proving yourself to people. You're proving your value. You're proving your worth to people. You're not just helping, you're overextending yourself. You're not just available, you're afraid to be unavailable. And before you know it, you start saying yes out of fear instead of alignment. Fear of disappointing people, fear of being replaced, fear of not being seen as valuable anymore. But let me say this, and hear me well. God never asked you to earn your worth by exhausting yourself. He never asked you to earn your worth that way. And some of the things you keep saying yes to aren't assignments. They're actually unhealthy attachments. Attachments to approval, attachments to validations, attachments to being the one who holds everything together. And you want to know the shift in healing? You want to know when that happened? It happens when you start asking yourself, did God call me to this? Or did my need to be needed pull me into this? Because calling brings peace. Being needed without boundaries brings the pressure, the weight of the cape. And that pressure, that weight of the everything woman cape is often the first sign that you are no longer aligned. You are no longer aligned with who God called you to be. You are no longer aligned with your purpose. You are no longer aligned with your God-given identity. And once you start seeing that difference between being needed and being called, you start realizing something else too. You don't just need freedom from expectation. You need permission to drop the cape. You need permission to take that cape off and put it down. And this is where everything starts to shift. Because healing is not just about emotional recovery. It's about you correcting your identity from having to be everything to everyone to being exactly who God called you to be as his daughter. It's the moment you stop believing that your worth is tied to your workload. It's the moment you realize I don't have to keep proving I'm valuable by how much I carry. All right? When you start healing, something beautiful happens. Something miraculous happens. You begin to separate your identity from your output, from your need to be everything and do everything and to have your hands on everything. And that's the part that changes everything. Because now, rest is not guilt. Rest is not laziness. Rest is not you falling behind everyone else. Rest becomes obedience. Rest becomes alignment with God. And the cape that you thought you had to wear to be strong, you start realizing it was actually making you tired in places you didn't even know you were hurting. And I want to take a moment to be clear. Laying the cape down doesn't make you less powerful. It makes you more present. present in your purpose, present in your alignment, present in your identity. It doesn't make you less capable. It makes you whole. It makes you more whole. And it doesn't take away your strength. It redefines it. Because real strength is not, I can do everything. You want to know what real strength is? Real strength is knowing what you are called to carry, and then being brave enough to put everything that you're not called to carry down. That part. Real strength is, I know what I'm called to carry, and I'm brave enough to put the rest down. Yeah, that's what real strength is. That's what dropping the cape is. So, I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Who taught me, or what taught me, that I had to be everything to everyone? Let's take a little bit further. What expectations am I carrying that God never placed on me? Let's go deeper. Am I living from purpose or from the pressure of the cape? And even deeper, what would change if I believed my worth wasn't connected to me having to prove myself, wasn't connected to my productivity? I want you to sit with those questions. I want you to go deep with those questions, because I want you to give yourself permission to lay down the pressure of being everything to everyone. I want you to release expectations that God never placed on you. I want you to choose obedience over overextension. I want you to choose peace over performance. And I want you to choose healing over proving your value. I want you to trust that your identity is secure because of who you are, and that is God's daughter. Today, I want you to choose to drop the cape, the everything woman cape. So take a moment, and I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture yourself standing before God. Now imagine yourself taking off the everything woman cape. The cape that says, I have to fix everyone. The cape that says, you have to hold everything together. The cape that says, your value is found in how much you can carry. Now, imagine yourself laying it at God's feet. Because what God didn't ask you to carry, you don't have to keep carrying. You don't, sis. What God didn't ask you to carry, you don't have to keep carrying. And that is your permission to drop the everything woman cape. So remember this. Empowerment was never meant to become pressure. And God never called you to be everything. He simply called you to be faithful to who who He created you to be. So this week, I challenge you to go even deeper and ask yourself this: what cape have I been carrying? And am I finally ready to lay it down? Am I finally ready to lay it down? And then share this episode, because I just gave you permission to drop your cape. And I want you to give another woman permission to release the weight she's been carrying and drop her cape. I want you to keep dropping the cape. I want you to keep healing for real, because you are her. You are healed, you are empowered, and you are restored. Until next week, keep dropping it, keep healing, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.